Hello, welcome to Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Today's video is super exciting because we have pretty much been able to confirm that Skaven will be the other army in the 4th edition launch box for Age of Sigmar. And before I go any further, before you start saying you're just creating clickbait and stuff, no, here we go. Spoilers ahead. I'm about to show you a sprue for Skaven, so if you don't want to be spoiled or have your hype ruined, don't look at the video now. Here we go. Oh no, that's a PDF. That's wrong. Anyway, here we go. Here is a sprue that has got leaked, and you can see it says there, Games Workshop 2024. And it's quite clearly of a Skaven sprue, a Skaven weapons team. This doesn't relate to anything that is previously out. So this is very interesting. It's been leaked a couple of places all over the internet with some kind of like, pinch of salt rumors as well. It's been long rumored that Skaven are the 4th edition launch box. So Skaven versus Stormcast Eternal. Stormcast Eternal is getting a range refresh, not new minis necessarily, but we're going to see a bunch of the Age of Sigmar 0, or the very first Age of Sigmar box that we ever saw. Those Stormcast Eternals are going to get a kind of like slimming down. We've seen Stormcast armor has changed significantly over the release cycle of all of Age of Sigmar. So we're going to get a more slimmed down and reinvented Stormcast Eternal launch box. So kind of like what we've seen with Space Marines. With Skaven are an interesting place because their 3rd edition book you didn't get any new minis with the 3rd edition book, and instead you got effectively an almost flat copy and paste rules from 2nd edition into 3rd edition, which has made Skaven a very odd book in the 3rd edition kind of like ecosystem for Age of Sigmar, with many of the minis being very, very old, which I think is interesting. So here we can see a leaked sprue, and that makes us definitely pretty much confirm the rumors of 4th edition Skaven going up against Stormcast, which is going to be legitimately very cool. I think I'd like to just start out from there. I love Skaven. I think they've got a great identity. They're very cool. They've got a real big kind of outside of Age of Sigmar fan base. You've obviously got fans of the Old World, but also in Total War, they're one of the most played factions. They're super, super popular. Like if you go and watch any like Total War YouTubers, they love talking about Skaven. Easily one of the top factions, rated consistently in tier shows and stuff like that. Following on from that, you've obviously got things like Vermintide, which obviously features Skaven pretty heavily as well. So if you're coming from the computer game world, Skaven are really popular. If you're coming from the miniatures world, even in the Old World and in Age of Sigmar themselves, they've been popular for a long time. So I think this is going to be a really big hit. I think the Stormcast are going to be less exciting, just because Cities of Sigmar should be the poster children. But here we go. Now, some very clever people online, have been able to kit bash the sprue into what the mini actually looks like. So there you can see the different elements. It looks like the weapon team has got like 2 different builds. We have a build with like what looks to be a bunch of plague missile weapons on the front of it. They could be like big explodey shells. They could be full of like plague stuff. And then there's a version where it looks like you put like a gun barrel on the front. So this is probably replacing the weapon teams that we've got. This might be like, our rattling guns and maybe like our wind launchers or something similar. So this is like a big replacement. The Skaven, I would say, probably are also going to be getting an upscale. They're going from, they're quite small. The Skaven sculpts are very old, with the exception of some of the End Times releases. So Vermin Lords, as an example, are new. The Storm Fiends also are new as well. Well, new-ish, past 8 years or so. But they're obviously much, much different to the many older sculpts like Clan Rats and all these other things. So getting the weapons teams upgrades that we can see here is going to be super interesting. Super interesting, because there's loads of minis that I think people are going to want to see as new. And I guess you guys should let me know what you think you would like to see as new, right? Which I think is... we've seen, so we probably should talk about this. We've seen many new iterations of what once was very popular sculpts. Weapon teams is an example. Someone in the chat is pointing out that this weapon team doesn't look like, going from a very small 2-person with a gun weapon team that we had previously to like effectively a vehicle might not be what we see. we might see some smaller weapon teams, but we have seen some like big glow ups for different units across the history of Age of Sigmar. Going from the old world going into Age of Sigmar, you normally get it cranked up to 11, to quote Phil Kelly. So you normally see this big bump in kind of like how big they are, or the different dimensions of what they have, which I think is true. Like a Chaos Lord and Demonic Mount is now like very different to what it once was. For Chaos Slaves to Darkness as an example, there's going to be some big changes. So I think this is fun. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting release. And then following on from that, me and the chat have taken a little bit of a while, because I'm obviously streaming while I record this. We've taken a little bit of a while to work out what we think we might see as a release from Skaven in 4th edition, because I think that's going to be an interesting point. I'd love to know your hot takes. Let me know what you think. But if we look at the past releases, Cities of Sigmar as an example, Luminath Rome Lords, and a bunch of the others, they normally get like 11 to 12 new kits when you're getting a big range refresh. See the same thing with like Tyranids. So you're going to get range refreshes, and I think we're going to see some new stuff. Now, it's almost impossible to guess what new stuff we'll see, and I think there's a load of good options. A big centerpiece monster model could just be like something brand new, or it could be a replacement to the Hellpit Abomination. We've already got big monstrous characters, but we might see another big one, which would be amazing. Maybe like a rat god would be really cool. Like a Nagash style rat god would be completely outside of like what I would be expecting to see, but that could be something amazing. That would be really, really hyped to see. But the ranges that we already do have, or the sculpts we already do have, are fairly old. So we can probably, talk about what we think we'll see go away. So clan rats probably need an update. And this is such a boring update. Such a boring update to do. Mainly because, they're clan rats. Like, who cares? To be honest. But we saw that with like steel helms for Cities of Sigmar, and going from what were Free Guild Guard to what are now steel helms was a massive change. So I wouldn't be too bored. It might be like, that actually could be very, very interesting. That could be quite spicy. So clan rats. Then I think Greyseer. I think we're going to get a bunch of characters, basically. I think we'll see a new Greyseer, just get a new sculpt, something fun, or something similar to a Greyseer, just a cool new sculpt inside that range. Then I think we're going to see a bunch of combo releases. So we'll see an assassin for one of the clans, so for Clan Eshin, and then you'll probably see a dual box of Night Runners and Gutter Runners. So it'll just be like a one and the other. Again, this is all guesswork, but the Assassin probably needs updating. Night Runners and Gutter Runners desperately need updating. I think they're like 20 years old as sculpt, so I think we'll see that as well. Then you've got the Clan Molder version of what this might look like, where you have the Packmaster and the Master Molder, which also need a massive update, and then the Rat Ogres, which need a huge update. I really think that they need a big, big update. So I think the Rat Ogres will change up as well. Already had, yes. So I think we'll see these in combos. So Packmaster, Master Molder, Rat Ogres. What will happen to giant rats? Not really sure. I didn't put this in the list because I'm not sure we'll see giant rats or anything similar. They feel like something that is like an upgrade to a unit versus its own individual style of unit anymore, but we'll see. They haven't generally tended to do swarmy style stuff, although I know it's very Skaven related. Then if we go along the Clan Pestilence route, we've got a Plague Priest, probably get a new Plague Priest. We did have a cool new Underworld's Warband Plague Priest, like Skabic, but I think we might see like another mainline one. They do love making hero models, and why wouldn't they? They make a hero model, they sell a single plastic model for 25 quid. It's just money in the bank. Why wouldn't they make it? And then you'll see that like as a split with Plague Monks and Censer Bearers being a dual box, I would say as well. Censer Bearers are really, really old. I think that they're very iconic, both of those two releases. I think I can see those getting a big, big update as well. Similar to what we saw for stuff like the Seraphon, where we just got new Saurus Warriors. They're much, much better than the old Saurus Warriors, but, not super different. But I think we'll see that. And that'll be quite a fun one, I think. And then I think Skryre, as a sub-faction or as like a clan, is easily the coolest of all of the... He's easily the coolest. It's so cool. Like, steampunk rats is right up there with Pirate Goblins, in my opinion. It's just 11 out of 10. So I think what we'll see for them is we'll see a new Warlock Engineer, because the old one is like metal. Then we'll see new Scryer Acolytes, because they're also metal, or like Globadiers as well. I think we'll see a new unit of that, which will look stunning. I'm already very excited about that. I'm a little bit on the fence about new Jezzails, but potentially new Jezzails as well. And then I think what we just saw was a weapons team. So that might give you some idea of kind of the upgrade that we're going to see as well. So new Warlock Engineer. And then we might see new Doom Wheels and Doom Flayers. Doom Flayers are probably more likely. I think Doom Wheels maybe still serviceable. I think they might still see play. And so that's kind of the list. It's kind of the list that I think that we might see. I have no information, no leaks, no behind-the-scenes information about any of these things other than a sprue that's been leaked. But this is just some guesswork based on other releases that have happened in the past. It's some guesswork on, how they've done other updates of range refreshes. And if you're a Skaven player, I would genuinely be excited. I know probably it's a little bit disappointing that many of your models might be getting updates and you're like, oh no, maybe I can't play with that anymore. I think that fear is in there as well. But generally, it's a pretty hype time if you're a Skaven player. I mean, it's a hype time if you're an Age of Sigmar player as well. Oftentimes people are like, I'm not a Skaven guy. And then until a brand new army comes out and they're like, okay, now I'm a Skaven person. And I think that that's what we can see here. They're probably they're right up there with Gits, in my opinion. I think Skaven and Gits are right up there as probably some of the most iconic factions. And it's kind of odd because with 40k, you get Games Workshop pushing Space Marines so aggressively. However, with Age of Sigmar especially, some of the factions themselves are just so popular because they just have such a strong, visceral identity that pops through on the tabletop. And I think Gits have that. I don't think Stormcast do have that. That's kind of why I bring that up. I don't think Stormcast have what Space Marines have, but I think Gits have it. I think Cities of Sigmar have it. I think definitely Skaven have it. So I think it's going to be a huge release, and I think people are going to be really, really, really pleased. So looking forward to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. Loads of love. Hope I didn't spoil anyone's day. All those other things. Loads of love. Take care. Bye.